Okay, you are welcome to Heroic Academy. I want to quickly look into the issue one of my students is going through, George Emmanuel. He's having an issue on edit profile. Okay, so George, before I start looking into your case, please quickly, I want to advise you, whenever you're working on whenever you are following my video tutorial, try your best. Okay, try your best to follow it as much as you can, as in follow it line by line. Okay, because you actually missed a lot of stuff here. You must just try to follow line by line, and sometimes when you encounter issue you don't know how to solve, you can comment out all your code and rewrite the code again. Maybe you missed a line. Okay, because you are new, if you miss a line, sometimes you might not actually figure it out easily. So the best option might be rewriting the code again. I know it will be kind of stressful to you to rewrite the code, but you know, when you rewrite something, you learn more. You just know that you are learning. This is a learning process, so it doesn't matter whether you rewrite it or not, you're learning. Okay, so that's by the way. That's it. And another thing is, always try to, when you watch the video tutorial, watch it for some time, then when I test with me. Don't wait until you've written a large bulk of code before testing it. Sometimes if you wait and you've written so many bulk of codes, so many codes, then you start testing, you might have made lots of mistakes along the line, and figuring out the mistakes might be challenging. Just know that you are not dealing with JavaScript alone. You're also dealing with, in this particular edit profile, you are dealing with JavaScript, with HTML, and with PHP. So all these areas, just whenever I test with me. I mean, whenever you see me test my code, test with me, okay? So that you don't write large bulk of code before testing. All right, so that's by the way. Now let's quickly look into the issue. Sorry, then I will log in. I'll log in with my email, because I've also registered here. Okay, now this is the profile and this edit profile, right? Okay, you know, actually I've edited this. Okay, now the issue you are having is when you edit, let's say let me put innocent here now, innocent here, then I want to submit, then it will not. Okay, maybe you added the image, you want to submit, it will not submit, right? And that's the problem. Now let's quickly look at your codes. Let's start from HTML code. Okay. Where is that HTML code again? Okay, I've not opened it yet. Okay, let me open it. Edit profile, right? Okay, look at it. We are already in HTML code. Look at the first mistake you made. Whenever you type in if, you have to come here like this, put curly bracket like this. Okay, then you have to close the curly bracket when you open it. Do you understand? You didn't do it well. Okay, you just have to come here and close it. Say if is set $get edit ID. Okay, then you have to close this like this. You don't just type it if without putting this and this. Do you understand? It's very important. Okay, in fact you have to come here. You don't even have to close it, you have to close it down here. Yeah, let me drag it here. Yeah, this is where you're going to close it. Okay, I hope you get it. So that is if this if this edit ID is in the URL, okay, then these things will happen. Then it will not get the edit ID and call it an ID. Okay, then it will make the session, as it will create a session of that ID, because it's going to be using in another page, you understand? Then it will now select the person using the ID. Got it? You understand? So this and this is your first mistake. Correct it, please. Correct it. That's your first mistake. Then second mistake is if okay, and even this one, this is supposed not to even be here. This is where this will be. Let me move this inward. This will be like here, down here. You get it? This is where this will be. That is, if it sets this ID, then all these things will happen. But if the ID is not set, this same thing that you have here will happen also. Check my code. You see how I wrote it. Okay, put it like this. So the idea now is, if there is no edit ID, for example, if you check now, you're going to see edit ID here. You see that? This edit ID. So if there's no edit ID in the URL, what will happen is it will lead you to dashboard. It will move you away from here and move you to the dashboard. Okay, so this is one. Then when you come inside, then if the ID is existing, then you have to get the ID, assign it to this ID, then use the ID to get the owner of that ID, details of the owner of the ID, and that is what you did here. Okay, and here now you're not talking about if the person exists. That is, if there is somebody actually owns this ID, and you were able to get the details of the person, then you now display the details here. You get the full name, the email, and the phone number. But in case if this ID you check and nobody has it, even though it's most unlikely, once you get this ID, somebody must have it. But in case, in a situation where maybe someone typed something different there, okay, so what will happen? It will move you again straight away to the dashboard, and that's the idea now. So we're done with this. The next option here is, let me check. Let me see if there are other stuff you need to put together here. Okay, I think, okay, let's go to JavaScript. This JavaScript. Okay, no, this JavaScript. This JavaScript, yes. The first mistake you made here, you see, you're supposed to put $, and you put hash. $, should be there, not hash. Always check well, please. Whenever you have issue, check line by line, and check it carefully. You understand me? Line by line, very important. Okay, so I think you've done. You're through with this $. It'll prevent default, every other things. Then coming down here, there's another mistake here. Already state change. You see change. We didn't write it to a change, so N should be here. You know what? If you make one mistake, everything will not work. You understand? So you correct that on already state change. I think we've corrected that as well. Then another one is let's go to edit profile. Okay, no, we are done with, I think we are done with JavaScript, right? Is there any other thing in JavaScript now? Let me check. Every other thing, it's okay. Okay, the another thing is, let's go to the PHP part of it now. Now look at what you did here. You put /, but it's supposed to be one slash like this way. You get it? So always follow, whenever you make mistake, you follow line by line. So you know, whenever you make so many mistakes, before sending it to me, it will give me stress. But if you carefully do things, and the mistake will be less. You see, I've identified so many mistakes already. Okay, so try to be more careful so that you test one after the other. Okay, so I think everything is in order now. If you want to test this, but I might not bother myself testing it. There's another observation I made. Maybe let me remove this one. There's another observation I made. When you come down here, image. This, you know, this is a part to where you're going to upload the image, and the image folder. It's not image folder, but images folder. That is the part where you're going to update it. So what I mean by images, let's go to your website now. You see images, not image but images. This is where you're going to upload it, and inside these images you're going to upload it inside profile folder, but there's no profile folder you created here, so you have to create profile folder. Let me create it from here. Just create a folder, call it profile, like this. You understand? Very important. If you didn't do this, it will not upload the image for you. You understand? And that is the profile folder here. You understand? Always be conscious of spelling. It's very important. Okay? Every other things, think. Okay. Then down here you made another mistake, and that mistake is, let's move. Let me find it. Do you see here? You put single quote here. You did not close your single quote. You have to close your single quote. You understand? Close the single quote. Okay. So I think every other thing is okay. The last but not the least is you have to create a profile. Because you're uploading a profile, you have to create a profile column. I don't know if you've done that, but in your database you have to go to your database and create a profile column. I've done that here. Let me show you. Go to your database. If you have not created a profile page, this is it. I created a profile page. Okay. Oh, I even made a mistake here. The profile page to be, you create profile, you can call it Vaca. I actually called it maybe 255 like this. You can even call it text like this, whichever one you want to call it, it's fine. Okay, you save. Very important. Okay, so that said, I think where is your this thing again? Okay, I think we are more or less through with it. We are more or less through with it. Let me check if there is another error. I don't think so. Okay, let's test it now. I know when you are done, you refresh. Sometimes you might clear your cache, but let me try and see if everything will work fine now. Let's edit profile again. Let me change this to innocent. Now let me upload the image. Do you see successfully updated? Do you see it in the console? Successfully updated. So you see, just take note of all these corrections. Once you are done with the corrections, everything will be fine. But subsequently, please always follow instructions. Pay absolute attention to all the code, all the lines of code that I write, so that you won't run into this error again. Okay? Thank you so much.